I know this video probably seems random because my channel is kind of a shit posting. I'm posting memes, but this is kind of, I'm gonna talk about this because I personally am. I'm kind of interested about this conflict that's taking place between Russia and Ukraine, etc., and the dynamics and the politics and the geopolitics between it, and that really interests me, and I want to talk about it. First of all, this, like I said, this might be random. For the look of the map, do not think I am a Russian bot or a Ukrainian side. I'm kind of neutral. My country where I'm from doesn't benefit from this either anyway, if any country wins. So I'm gonna talk about this from a realistic point of view. Okay, first I'm gonna say what my map means. This is like a I like drew the borders of a hypothetical post-war Ukraine. So this would be like this. By the way, the front line at the contact right now as we speak on March 7th, 2025 would be something like this. So at the river here, and there's a incursion here, of course, where there's a Russian incursion here, and of course we can't forget the infamous Kursk salient over here. So if a peace settlement right now happens, I'm gonna talk about now Russia for the Russian side. If a peace settlement happens right now at the contact lines, at the front lines there are, and combat fully stops, Russia would effectively lost the war because they did not achieve their goal. They, on the Russian law, because what it was in 2022 or 2023, they basically annexed this. We know annexation of Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, of course. Under Russian law, they're basically fighting for, when it comes for this front, they're basically fighting for their own territory. So that will be a political and basically a loss for the Russians. I mean, in that sort of case, but I don't think this war, I'm gonna put it blankly, it's probably gonna last for a long time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this ends in this year with some sort of settlement. But I don't think by the Western, by the Americans now, because Trump is a president, he wants peace. But for the Europeans, they want to feel this war, and Zelensky is now more aligning with them, and I don't think there's gonna be any stop. This is gonna be a long war, maybe a few more years, definitely. But I'm gonna talk about that at the end. So this will be the bare minimum for the Russians to basically take this and no NATO. Even Trump said no NATO for Ukraine. And I'm gonna continue. If a war continues and Russia is able to capture more, the next, even Putin said, I believe, about the capturing of Odessa, that will be their probably goal, to take 4 more oblasts. This one I drew for a natural border if it happens between a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine. So a natural border will be on the Dnieper River, as you can see. And that will be probably the best, maybe best idea for the Russians. Of course, they will probably want to take the whole country, but I don't think in this, that will be basically giving, like, this is enormous. Look at this land. This is a lot. This is basically giving half away Ukraine for peace. But I think no matter what happens, and I think Russians and both Ukrainians know at the end of this war, Ukraine is gonna inevitably join NATO to prevent from future invasions of the Russians. And Russia in return wants a good piece of land and a chunk of land of Ukraine to act as a buffer. This whole war started for NATO expansionism, the Maidan coup, whatever you want to call it, in 2014, and even back then in 2004, the Orange Revolutions. All this had effect and changed the dynamics, how this conflict even escalated and happened. And that will be the Russian kind of point of view. And the Ukrainians, of course, Ukrainians are basically fighting for their existence, and they're also fighting every tooth and nail. So are the Russians to achieve their goals. And this is interesting. Both parties don't want to give in. Even Russia says no, they're not going to sign any ceasefire, which is really interesting to me, how the European leaders, even Trump, his administration is going forward for the ceasefire settlement. So I really am kind of intrigued, and I want to know how these things are going to go play out. But so far it looks, in my point of view, this war is going to last maybe few more years, like I said. And also I want to talk about how both sides in a peace settlement will basically declare victory. Russia would say, let's just say this, is a part of Russia, for the sake of the argument. A part of Finlandization. I'm saying this because in World War II, Finland was against the Soviet Union. They fought each other, but Russia didn't fully annex Finland. They took parts. They took Karelia, parts of northern Finland. I don't know what it's called, Lapland maybe, and they still claim that as victory. Even though they lost, they still claim as victory. They lost some concession lands to the Russians, but they still can say we have a democracy, we have a neutral sovereign state, and that's how it is. I think this is going to be manifested. The same thing is going to happen to Ukraine. No matter how much hypothetically territories they lose, of course, part of Ukraine is still gonna stand, and they're basically gonna declare victory. Look, we made a sacrifice, but now we are integrating into part of the West. We're gonna be joining the European Union and NATO, and etc. And both sides are gonna say that things, and that's gonna manifest, and I think you will see that. And I don't know, that's basically gonna be the post-war Ukraine, how I think of it, and I don't know how much more I can add. I can talk about more other things. I didn't prevail this very well. I'm kind of talking my heart out. Heart, not head out. And what I'll say like this are gonna be my predictions. I know this war is gonna probably last a long time if no settlements are gonna be made. But I think if the West continues to support Ukraine, Russia will probably win, but a very ugly victory. I mean, they're gonna win, but when I say ugly victory, they're gonna fight like every tooth and nail to win the victory. It's not gonna be pretty for both sides. And yeah, that will be my analysis. So thank you much for watching, and if this video even gets to anywhere, probably won't, but I'm still gonna release it. Please write in the comments, be civil if you can. I'm gonna read everything, and I'm probably gonna try to answer with the best of my abilities and etc. So just I'm saying, I'm not for Russia, I am not for Ukraine, I'm just anti-war, and this whole thing is a mistake because two brotherly nations, Slavic, that's the way I see it, are fighting each other for basically nothing.